Greetings, this is Bradford Townsend, and this is a forward research report, the alternative media debunked. I think it's pretty self-evident that most people that might be listening to this channel understand the conflict of interest of the mass media and the mass entertainment industry, whether it be out of Hollywood, California, New York, Toronto, Canada. They are creatures of big business. They are big businesses run by executives that have other interests, maybe in internet-related businesses or agriculture, clothing, all types of other businesses. Some may have been in banking or in banking. The reality is Jay Forrester and Dennis and Danella Meadows and the Club of Rome report back in the early 1970s, they calculated, and it turned out to be amazingly accurate, that within less than 100 years, industrial civilization will have exhausted itself. And not that long ago in Mexico, they were cannibalistic, sacrificing thousands of people and eating them. And in India, Europeans, Portuguese, Dutch, French, British were getting carried around in litters. And there were tyrants that had their own harems. So energy has changed all that, pretty much eliminating chattel slavery. We consume, as a global industrial civilization, massive amounts of petroleum, natural gas, coal, renewables, nuclear energy. If you look, I have a couple charts here that just show crude oil imports of the United States. Although the United States is now the largest producer of petroleum, natural gas, which is liquefied, and natural gas, it still imports billions and billions of dollars worth of raw petroleum products, and is a net importer of almost 4 million barrels of fuel a day. And there's 42 gallons in a barrel, and then at refining it ends up expanding to about 45 gallons worth of material that can be converted into jet fuel, diesel, gasoline, asphalt, and can be used as a feedstock for many different products. The world has approximately 1.5 trillion barrels of fuel remaining of petroleum. That sounds like a lot, but we're going through 100 million plus barrels a day, and if we weren't to increase our usage, we would use it all up in about 42 years, which ends up being right about exactly what they calculated back in the early 1970s at the project at MIT. And Jay Forrester, who was the real genius behind it, who came up with systems engineering, found out in his urban programs prior, which inspired the bigger, more ambitious project, was that no matter what you did in Boston, for example, if you increase the flow of traffic in by improving the roads or a subway or elevated train into the larger city of millions of people, then you needed more bathrooms, more parking, more places to eat, more housing, everything in the town center, which put a big strain. So we're going through the grand transition, the United States and Russia. We need to follow Russia's lead and start gardening and growing our own food. The average Russian spends 105 days a year, 2.5 hours a day, growing what ends up being about 40% of their food. In Moscow, their largest city and capital, almost half it's even more than the national average. And gardening is a pastime for Russians and Eastern Europeans, and they have learned to enjoy it. As mechanization is coming to an end, think about Asia. All the mopeds sold every day, all the agricultural tractors, all the bulldozers, all the dump trucks, all the sport utility vehicles, all the light trucks, all the garbage trucks, all the backhoes that are purchased for construction, all the leaf blowers to blow the grass and leaves off the wealthy people's properties. And these are new purchases every day. Thousands of these type of machines are purchased every day in India, China, Indonesia, the Philippines, that previously weren't buying them not very long ago. So if we're using 100 million barrels of petroleum a day, all these types of machines run on either gasoline or diesel fuel. Plus you add ships and trains that use other kinds of fuels. They're even of higher than jets. As Indonesia, makes their airline bigger, or India, or the United Arab Emirates buys more planes to try to bring tourists into their new recreation areas that they've been building and the new grand hotels. All that, including the hotels powering many different machines, all that, I just don't see us being flat. So if you just do the simple math that we have 1.5 trillion left, that's only probably less than 40 years, which puts us at 68. So they said we'd be out by 2070. Nearly every major mineral and energy, including uranium, is expected to be exhausted by 2070, which isn't that far away. Children born in the last couple of years will still, won't even be my age yet. So it's not that far away. And by then, things like copper and petroleum are supposed to be clearly exhausted, and that is even with no growth in the demand. That's all I have for today. Thank you very much, and have a good one. Bye-bye.